Welcome to a new series I want to start on this channel called the What's Next series. We've done the What If series, this is the What Next series. What Next looks at hypotheticals, it looks at trade rumors, it looks at individual teams, and it looks at the players they currently have and the players that they are currently looking to acquire. Each episode should feature a different team. In this episode we're going to be looking at the Atlanta Hawks and one of the new rumors of Andre Drummond. If you didn't know, Andre Drummond has been on the trade table and the Hawks are looking to acquire him in a trade. And what does that mean? What do the Pistons get for him and what does Atlanta get for him? In the future, we're going to be looking at different teams, so let me know what team you would like to see next down below in the comments section. And obviously, if a trade happens or if a new rumor emerges, I'll try to give you an updated version as soon as I get the chance. So with that said, with the first episode, the Atlanta Hawks. And before I get started, I'd greatly appreciate if you guys could leave a like to support the channel. Let's see if we can reach 1,000 likes for the next episode in this series, and let me know what team you'd want to see in the next episode of this series. If you're new around here, why not hit that subscribe button so you get NBA content every single week, and hit the notification button so you get updated as soon as I post. And let's get started with the video. Currently, the Atlanta Hawks are the worst team in the NBA, but they do have some really good young talent. Obviously, John Collins has only played 9 games this season. He obviously had the suspension, which really limited what the Atlanta Hawks could start with this season. Obviously, losing their best big man killed any chance of the Atlanta Hawks doing anything this season, because although Trae Young is putting up unreal stats in his sophomore season, he can't carry this team to the playoffs. Had John Collins been healthy with Trae Young, they are in the Eastern Conference, meaning that if they clicked, they would have at least been somewhat competitive. And I do really believe that. I do think they could have been maybe not a playoff team, but somewhere around the 9th, 10th seed. Because John Collins and Trae Young combined together have the ability to be a very dynamic duo. And even their younger talent like Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, while they haven't been performing as well as probably the Atlanta Hawks would have liked, they still have time to develop into pretty decent players. And I don't know if Andre Drummond is ultimately going to help this team do anything special in the future. And I actually do think DeAndre Hunter has played up to expectations. Cam Reddish, on the other hand, not so much. But when you think about it, the Atlanta Hawks are still one of the worst teams in the NBA, meaning they'll probably get a top 5 pick. And if they can end up getting a guy like James Wiseman, then you've got a really good young promising team. Trae Young, James Wiseman, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, John Collins, Bruno Fernando, like all these guys are really young, and that's something that you can build around in the future. And if you end up getting Andre Drummond and then you want to draft James Wiseman, then how's that going to work out? So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant as to why the Atlanta Hawks would go after Andre Drummond, but I do understand because it makes a lot of sense as they need some rebounding, because at the moment they are absolutely shocking. Andre Drummond, at the end of the day, is a good player, but he isn't a championship level player, and I don't know if you'd want to build around Trae Young and have Andre Drummond as your sidekick. I don't think Andre Drummond is a second option on an NBA championship team. And I think that all NBA teams just want to win championships. So the Atlanta Hawks have a promising team already, even though yes, they are the worst team in the league. I think under the circumstances they've been given, with obviously injury-riddled seasons, with Trae Young missing a few games, John Collins being suspended, and their rookies not emerging straight out of the gate, it just leaves a little bit of uncertainty, but it doesn't mean they should go all out and try and get Andre Drummond just to fill the centerpiece. I feel like considering he'll be a free agent in the summer of 2020, if they really want him, they can still go after him. They'll have a max contract offer that they'll send to him if they really want him, and that would mean they could also still go into the draft getting some more future assets that they can build around. Because when you think about it, in my opinion, I think the Detroit Pistons will probably get some better offers anyway. So if I'm Atlanta, I wouldn't go any further than giving up a first round pick and DeAndre Hunter or Cam Reddish, because who else are the Detroit Pistons really going to go after? The Atlanta Hawks don't really have a whole lot to give up. But right now, if we're looking at the NBA today, the Atlanta Hawks are really bad. They're 23rd in points per game, 27th in rebounds per game, 20th in assists per game, 29th in opposition points per game, and they have a 7-28 record, which is the worst in the entire NBA. They have not won more than 3 games in any month this season, and although they do have Trae Young, who looks like a superstar in the making, he can't do it all himself. So why Andre Drummond? That would give the Atlanta Hawks a trio of John Collins, Trae Young, and Andre Drummond, which in the Eastern Conference sounds good on paper, but is it really good enough to make a push? Not this season, but maybe next season. And we're going to break that down in this video. First of all, let's look at Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond averages 17.6 points per game, 15.8 rebounds, 2.7 assists per game, with a PER of 22.3. He's the league leader in rebounds per game, which when you look at the Atlanta Hawks, They're the third worst rebounding team in the entire NBA, and they have no player currently on the roster that averages over 10 rebounds per game, which is pretty insane. They don't really have a center. They have Alex Len and Damian Jones, who are nowhere near NBA starting centers, so Andre Drummond would be a good fit for this team. So with Andre Drummond being the best rebounder in the game, and the Atlanta Hawks needing to fill that void of a rebounder, those two seemingly work very well together. The only problem is how the Atlanta Hawks and the Detroit Pistons will go about making this trade. So here's everything you need to know about the rumors and why it would work. So obviously currently this is just a rumor, nothing is official yet, but the Atlanta Hawks are in trade discussions with the Pistons for Andre Drummond, and this came from Adrian Wojnarowski, the top guy that you can trust. But the reason why this trade hasn't gone through, according to Woj, is because Detroit continues to talk to other teams. Drummond is 26 years old. He's a good age to fit in with Trae Young and John Collins. He's not too old, but he's also a bit more mature than those guys. So all in all, to break it down, what could the Pistons actually get for Andre Drummond? Because Andre Drummond's contract is so big, that means obviously the Atlanta Hawks will have to throw in a few players to actually be able to trade for Drummond. Luckily, they have guys like Chandler Parsons, who's an expiring $25 million deal. They have other expiring deals like Evan Turner and Alan Crabb, who make about $18.5 million each. So they will have the ability to actually make a trade if they just throw in these guys, because the Pistons will take expiring deals as long as they can get rid of Andre Drummond and free up a whole lot of cap space for the offseason. But they're not going to do it for those three guys, obviously. They're going to want to get some good young talent. It's unknown if the Atlanta Hawks would be willing to part ways with Cam Reddish. In my opinion, I don't think they should do that. I think if you can build Cam Reddish up alongside Trae Young and John Collins, if they can get Andre Drummond too, that's going to be a nice squad that they can rebuild with in the future. Instead, what they should do is try to get rid of future picks. Atlanta currently has Brooklyn's first round pick. The only problem is Andre Drummond is a free agent after this season, so they have to be sure that Andre Drummond will sign with them if they're going to make a trade. Because the Atlanta Hawks do have the ability to make an offer for Drummond, they're going to have a lot of cap space next season. It's only up to Drummond if he's going to want to re-sign there or not. And when you have other teams throwing contracts at him next season during free agency, he may not want to go back to Atlanta even if they trade for him. So either Atlanta takes a risk and gets Andre Drummond, or they negotiate something and have a verbal agreement that Drummond re-signs with them after this season. A little bit like what we expect Anthony Davis will do with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's also going to be an expiring contract, but I think we can all assume. Although they're in completely different situations, Davis is obviously competing for championships and Andre Drummond will join the Atlanta Hawks, who's the worst team in the NBA currently. If Drummond sees a future in Trae Young, John Collins, Cam Reddish, he may choose to re-sign there, and that could be a very challenging team in the Eastern Conference to come up against in the next few seasons. So all in all, what is my final opinion? Well, first of all, I do think that getting Andre Drummond will help this Atlanta Hawks team develop a little bit better, make the playoffs eventually, but I don't think a trio of Trae Young, John Collins, and Andre Drummond will actually do anything more than make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I just don't think that they're good enough. I think Trae Young could be a star, he can be an MVP type player in the future, John Collins can be a good player, he can be a good power forward, an all-star level talent, but I just don't think that having Drummond, John Collins and Trae Young will be good enough to match up against some of the better teams in the NBA. In saying that, they're currently the worst team in the NBA, but they do have potential. I feel like the Hawks should just keep developing their guys in Trae Young, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish a little bit more and eventually get a decent center in free agency and not worry about trying to trade for Andre Drummond, considering that he may leave at the end of the year and then you lose out on someone that you could have drafted. I know that Collins doesn't want to play the center position, and I know the Atlanta Hawks are looking to make him a power forward full time, so having a guy like Andre Drummond is useful. But at the end of the day, like I said, I just don't think they're going to be good enough if they're going to get him anyway. So in my opinion, you'll just be making a trade that will eat up the salary in the future, and maybe that diminishes some chances of getting another potential player that you could build around instead of Andre Drummond that could actually benefit the team a little bit more. So let me know what you think about this trade scenario. Let me know what you think about the Atlanta Hawks in general. I didn't discuss what other trades they're looking to make. I only discussed one trade, and that's Andre Drummond, because I don't think the Atlanta Hawks will really make a lot of trades this mid-season. But if they could get Andre Drummond, that would be huge for them. Let me know what you think about the trade. Let me know what you think the Pistons should try and acquire from the Atlanta Hawks, whether it be a couple of first round picks. Let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more videos like this in the series, be sure to leave a like. Let's see if we can reach 1,000 likes for the next episode of this series. That would be greatly appreciated. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe for more NBA content every single week. And it's been your boy Smith. I am out. Peace.